Yes, Jonathan?
May I ask you some questions?
Please do. I have promised to answer you.
Why does Dr. Swansea allow you to feed on the patients of the hospital?
Dr. Swansea is a good and compassionate man. He is trying to find a solution for our hunger. Until that happens, he is clever enough to understand that I only feed upon the dying.
What do you know about this Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole?
The Brotherhood is well known amongst London vampire society. As long as our kind is discreet, and as long as they do not interfere, we have come to a mutual understanding.
And no one suspected you of the murders?
As you well know, suspicion has recently fallen on me of killing for pleasure. But you have my word, Jonathan. I take no pleasure in taking a life.
Why did you save me in the canning factory?
I could hardly stand by and watch such a promising young blood as yourself be torn to shreds by some gutter scowl.
William Bishop wasn't the vampire that created me then?
No, Jonathan. Whatever their strength and demeanor, scowls are the progeny of careless vampires. It cannot be the other way round.
What type of vampire is a Scowl?
Not a true vampire. The deformed offspring of lesser vampires. It is a shame these creatures run wild, slaves to their baser instincts.
I know this is beyond the pale, but may I inquire your age?
Really? And I thought you were gentlemen. If you must know, I'm 27. I've been 27 for a long time now, and 27 I shall remain.
Very well, but I believe there is more to this than you are saying.
A lady has to have some secrets.
And who bestowed upon you this eternal youth?
My maker. He left this isle a long time ago.
I've been hearing a voice talking in my head. Is this some kind of insanity? It feels like the voice of the vampire that created me.
Hush. Tell no one this. It would be unwise to talk of such things amongst British immortals. Speak no more of your maker.
How could this cause offense?
Only the powerful immortals can mentally call to their progeny. No vampire or hunter will sleep easy, knowing that an unidentified elder is stalking the streets of London.
Excuse my forwardness, but are you my maker?
Me? Goodness, no. Only a foolish immortal would create a progeny without taking precaution, and I'm no fool.
I don't understand. Why was I created and then left for dead?
That is a question only the one who made you can answer. It's not normal practice. I doubt even if you find him, he will answer you, considering how cruelly he treated you.
So me being a vampire could have been a mistake.
I very much doubt it, Jonathan. Contrary to the legends, it is not as simple to make another vampire by just biting someone.
I'd like to avoid creating another vampire by mistake anyway. Tell me, how is it done?
The process is dangerous. It could even kill your potential progeny. If you did decide to sire an offspring, they must drink of your blood, Jonathan.
A vampire? Is that what I am? What we are?
Such a crude word, defined by penny dreadfuls and drunken hacks. No. You are now an Ekon, and that you shall remain.
Are you an Ekon too?
Yes, I am. We are the closest thing to what man refers to as vampires. Forget what you think you know about us.
So we are Ekons. How can I identify us amongst other vampires?
How to put it? All Ekon are vampires. But all vampires are not Ekon. We are but a branch of the immortal tree.
I've been away from London and England for 3 years. This isn't the city I remember.
Things have gone from bad to worse here, Jonathan. I've lived in this city for a long time, and I've never seen it like this.
The Spanish flu has hit London that bad.
Yes, but it's not just that. I've heard things. Things I've not heard for a very, very long time. There are whispers in the shadows. Something far worse than the Spanish flu is here in the city.
What is it you fear?
Fear has long since flown this form. But there is something malevolent circling us. I feel fear is merely waiting in the wings.
When I awoke, changed, I was chased and attacked by vampire hunters. Prepared and well-trained.
Though I can't be certain. More than likely, it was the once glorious Guard of Priwen.
Once glorious, but still dangerous.
They have seen better days, but all fanatics are dangerous. You would be wise to stay clear. They are sworn to destroy our kind.
You make them sound like some sort of cult.
More a society. And like all the best ones, a secret society. I thought them almost gone, but it seemed they have been recruiting.
Are there many vampires here in London?
Immortals are of a rare breed, and we often tend to hide. But you may occasionally meet some of us at night.
Do you know any of them? Have you an idea of the identity of the vampire who attacked me?
You mean your maker? No, Jonathan, I have no clue. But I fear he or she is as careless as cruel. To let you discover your new condition by yourself.
What do you mean?
Every now and then, you may discover an immortal in the deep of the night. But we are a rare and reclusive breed. Our progeny is almost never accidental.
Will they all be as affable as you, my lady?
I do not see why not. But remember, even the shark smiles before he bites.
That sounds like a lesson from experience.
Vampire politics are as intricate and sometimes tedious as a game of chess in a gentleman's club. I've learned from experience it is best to decline to play.
I bid you farewell, for now, my lady.
Another night of the glorious battalion of Pembroke.
Not now.
It's locked. The flower's dying. It needs water. Razvan Vasily was infected by Spanish flu, but also has the highly unstable blood of the Scows. Is the London vampire epidemic transmitted through the flu? I should talk to Dr. Swansea about it. Evening, Edgar. Could I get your professional opinion?
Please speak, but I have something important to tell you.
This strain of flu, it's very different from the one I saw in Europe. It's downright peculiar.
Really? What makes you say that?
I've just looked at the blood of one of our recently deceased.
I see. Do you have anything more to go on?
This disease spreads and looks like the Spanish flu, but its effects differ greatly. The London strain is different from the continental one.
This is very interesting. Did you find something else?
Yes. Unlike the flu, the infected begin to show an increase in outwardly aggressive behavior. More than simple agitation. Once docile people become violent.
You mean like rabies? Is there a chance we could create a vaccine, Jonathan, like Pasteur? By the stove, that would be smashing.
There's a lot we're not seeing here. But it is spreading, and quickly. If we don't act, the whole city could be lost.
But Jonathan, we've a fantastic opportunity sitting right here in front of us. A weapon of choice.
What on earth do you mean?
Why, you, my dear boy. With your expertise and your blood, we could isolate the properties that course through your veins. Think about the possibilities.
But the risk of infection using vampire blood could compound the situation.
I know, but your blood now carries remarkable regenerative properties. With our minds and your blood, there's nothing we couldn't cure.
We'll discuss this more later. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you, Jonathan. But as I said, I needed to talk to you. I have some rather bad news.
Yes?
I'm afraid it's your sister.
My sister?
She's to be buried this evening at Whitechapel Cemetery. Your mother published the obituary this morning.
I see.
I'm sorry, Jonathan. Please accept my condolences.
I never thought I would have to attend my murdered sister's funeral. Mary, I can't forgive myself. I'll find the truth about what happened to us. I swear. I'm sure Albert would like to know he's been accepted by the Wet Boot Boys. I cannot enter.
What happened? Who are you?
It's all right, sir. You're safe now.
Oh, a fellow Englishman. Thank you, sir. For a moment, I thought those bloody heathens would kill me.
What are you doing here? This place is not safe.
Yeah, it's a cesspool, but it's mine. I came to collect some overdue rent, but those who still live here have gone completely bonkers.
You're very lucky to be alive.
Yeah, filthy immigrants. Fucking savages, every one of them. And now with this bloody fever, they're just animals.
You can find safety of sorts in Whitechapel. If you're quick and cautious, you'll be able to avoid the savages.
This is Braille. I need someone who can read this.
You had better return to Whitechapel without delay. It will be safer there.
Safety isn't really an issue in Whitechapel, because you never are, never have been. The old places fall into pieces. But thank you for the advice, sir.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
It's a leech! Kill it!
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
Is there anything else that's bothering you? Can I help in any way?
Really? Why has no one else asked me that since I got here? I thought I was in a hospital.
Unfortunately, you are not the only person who needs help. And complaining about it won't do you any good.
Well, perhaps you're right, Dr. Reed. I'm sure if me missus was still alive, she wouldn't be happy with me going on like this.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
My sweet girl. Reads me like a book.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
Do you require medical attention as well, Mrs. Goswick?
Do you know you're the only one who's asked me this? No, I don't feel well, actually.
Despite what you think about this place, I can tell you with absolute certainty, taking this will help you recover.
Well, at least your reputation seems well deserved. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for this hospital.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Do you need my assistance?
Don't be ridiculous. I'm capable of dealing with this myself. I've just not taken the time to do so.
Then you are lucky that I have taken the time to do so. Consider it a gesture of solidarity between professionals.
I wish this hospital could have received as much attention from you, Dr. Reed. We do not see you in surgery very often.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
My sweet girl.
You are going to reveal all your secrets to me, even the darkest thoughts in your heart.
My blood and soul. They belong to you now.
The life running in your veins. This dead flesh needs it.
Oh, please spare me, Dark Queen. Spare your obedient slave.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
I have made inquiries about the men who were tracking you, Miss Howcroft.
I did not expect a mortal to have this sort of courage. Speak, Doctor. Why are they hunting me down?
It was a misunderstanding. These hunters were in fact looking for a very different creature, but they mistakenly put their sights on you.
I knew it. I have become undone. Those hunters have discovered me. but they don't know what I'm capable of.
If you'll accept some advice from a petty mortal, I think you should assume a low profile and just quietly disappear into the shadows.
You are right. And you have served me well, mortal. Take this as a reward for your time. Perhaps I will allow you to drink deep of my blood. One day.
Thank you. I'll keep that proposition in mind. I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Damn. The pain. Here again.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans, and it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Reconstructive surgery has been very successful for some soldiers.
I don't want to wear a bloody mask for the rest of my life. I'd rather stay here and just be forgotten.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
Tell me what really happened then.
I went with a whore in Rouen. Dead drunk I was. The hotel was a shithole. There was a fire that night.
Did you start the fire? Were you trying to avoid going back to the front? That's not uncommon, you know.
No. It's just that I was asleep when the flames reached the room. The girl was long gone. Bitch never woke me up. Left me to burn.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans, and it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Reconstructive surgery has been very successful for some soldiers.
I don't want to wear a bloody mask for the rest of my life. I'd rather stay here and just be forgotten.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Damn. The pain. It's here again.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening,
Soldier, do you need assistance?
Not really. I think I caught something in this bloody hospital. I swear I'm dead, yet smiling inside, Dr. Reed.
As long as you remain here, I will make sure you don't have to worry about your health.
Don't think you can do much about it. Damage is done.
Goodbye for now.
Damn. The pain. It's here again.
Hello again, Dr. Reed. I feel better already. Can I go soon?
I need my medication.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton.
No decency. All liars and thieves. Simpletons, these nurses. Bred with no respect.
The pain.
Someone's poached my blanket.
Things are different here.
It's locked, all right. Good evening.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Newton is conflicted about his feelings towards you. Would you like to talk about it, Oswald?
It makes me sad and angry. It feels like the beautiful thing we have is somehow tainted. It hurts to see him so lost.
His love for you is genuine. I'm certain he wasn't lying to me when he expressed his feelings for you.
Newton still has to accept it, knowing he'll be seen as a queer, a fairy, less than a man in those simple-minded bigots' eyes. Though he's more of a man than they'll ever be, so fuck them all.
Do you need medical attention?
Don't get me wrong, sir. I'm grateful for what you've done, but I've never felt comfortable with doctors.
I'm certain you have your reasons. But let me assure you, I'm not like other doctors you may have consulted with.
It is true. You risked your life to save me, after all. It would be impolite to refuse your counsel.
Goodbye, Mr. Thatcher. Try to take care of yourself. This must be Clay Cox's knife. A fine blade. No wonder he wants it back.
Hey, Doc.
I have found a gift from your wife.
In that case, you'll be properly rewarded, Doc. Clay Cox is a man of his word.
I hope that won't make me an accomplice to your future crimes.
Who knows what I might do now I feel invincible again?
I'll leave you for now, Mr. Cox.
When I get back, I'll have a word with Tom. He's really pissed me off this time.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
I'd like to see your goods.
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. A reliable gun is what everybody needs these days.
I need to talk to you, Edgar.
Please do so.
So you manage a hospital financed by a vampire?
Yes, Pembroke was founded by Lady Ashbury. She's also our largest donor.
A convenient yet expensive way to have a fresh supply of blood on hand, day and night, don't you think?
All vampires drink blood by nature. Me, I praise the lady's exemplary moral fiber.
If I may inquire, how did you meet her?
Well, Jonathan, she sought me out and offered me the position. It's been a very profitable partnership for both parties.
Nurse Crane will not be returning to Pembroke Hospital.
Oh, really? Did something happen? She seems such a very capable woman.
She was blackmailing Lady Ashbury. Thought she was murdering patients as some sick upper-class game.
Nurse Crane was playing a dangerous game. She's lucky Lady Ashbury abhors violence.
Do you know anything about the vampire hunters in the East End?
Without a doubt, it's the Guard of Prewen. Zealots to the last man.
Where do they come from?
Once they shared the Brotherhood's ideology on non-intervention, but they concluded vampires were a scourge.
They're definitely well organized and equipped.
They're extremely dangerous and not to be trifled with. To them, you're a feral beast, and I, your accomplice.
We'll talk later.
Opium is one of the main ingredients of Strickland's medication. Never a good move.
Is this supposed to be an hospital? A pigsty.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
I located the shop, but it was vandalized, and the owner is missing. All I found was your order.
I was afraid of such bad news. People are so desperate they're ready to burgle a shop for drugs.
That's quite a list you ordered. Opium, sodium hypochlorite. It can't be just headaches you're trying to cure.
This dreadful influenza, of course. I already ran some tests on hopeless cases. Without success, I must admit.
Do you realize you could create a lethal poison without the correct dosage? Then there are the legal ramifications.
Is this not true of any medical substance, Dr. Reed? However, if you would agree to improve it, I'd be glad to accept your help.
As long as you promise to be scrupulous with your experiments, I may try to gather these substances and even help improve upon the mixture.
That's all I'm asking for, Dr. Reed. That's all I'm asking.
I want to know about these secret tests you run, and if they can save people from this epidemic. Speak to me now, Thoreau.
I know I may sound presumptuous, but I'm just following your steps, Dr. Reed. I'm casting away the shadows of ignorance by daring to face them.
Self-confidence is essential in our line of work, my young colleague, but only if tempered with the correct amount of cynicism.
But you never doubt yourself, Dr. Reed. I've read all your articles and books. You performed the most daring research during the war.
Don't you think we have enough work already? Perhaps now is not the best time to be chasing shadows.
Chasing shadows, really? It's funny those words coming from the only doctor here who has spent more time outside this hospital than in.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
I can't let Strickland put his patients at risk with opium. Perhaps an adjusted formula will deliver more of a placebo effect.
So many deaths. And still more come down, Lord. How can we be sure we're making a difference?
I cannot enter. Strickland's project could be dangerous. I have a mind to report him to Dr. Aykroyd.
blaming me will not further your agenda, sir.
How long's it going to take to fix me problems? A month?
A year! You have the right to disapprove of our methods, and you will kindly apologize when you're feeling better.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
Goodbye, Doc.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Do you think Dr. Strickland has any chance of curing the Spanish flu by himself?
His wish to cure the sick is not driven by pride, but by an idealistic view about our mission here. Honestly, I don't know which is worse.
You consider him a good practitioner, yet you will not report his methods.
Strickland may be a rival, but I will not use dirty tricks or regulations to prove him wrong. We are doctors, not politicians.
Thank you for your... Good evening, Doctor.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
Did you know Dr. Ackroyd never reported your experimental research, despite the fact he doesn't agree with it?
Really? I didn't suspect he knew about my work. I must confess I am surprised.
Perhaps he thinks you should realize for yourself the danger of what you're doing.
See how condescending he can be? My God, he can be so irritating.
Goodbye, Dr.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Helen. As for me, what a blundering idiot.
I'm all right.
I'm quite busy right...
Don't waste your time with me.
I know that you're a busy man, but I could use your help and advice.
The great Dr. Reed honors me with a request. What is it exactly?
Dr. Strickland devised an experimental drug for the Spanish flu that he asked me to manufacture.
You know what I think of fringe medical experimentation?
That's exactly why I want you to keep the result, Doctor. I made sure it won't harm anyone, but I'd like you to take care of it.
I see. Put it in my cabinet. I'll give you the key. I'll make sure no one uses this medication by mistake.
I'll do that. Thank you for your help, Dr. Ackroyd.
Thank you for your trust on the matter, Dr. Reed.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
But in circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Never.
Good evening, Doctor.
And good evening to you, Doc.
Goodbye.
It's locked, all right. It's locked. It's locked, all right. Now that Dr. Ackroyd has been warned, he should make good use of this formula.
I'm quite busy right now.
Thank you for your...
Good evening, Dr. Tibbets.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
Nurse Brannigan has been recently accused of neglecting her professional duties. Tell me what you really think about it.
This kind of protest is nothing but elitist bullshit. I trust Nurse Brannigan with my life. She has what it takes to be a great doctor.
Do you really think she could be the next Elizabeth Blackwell?
Believe me, Dr. Reed, a time will come when skill and skill alone will determine who can be a physician and who cannot.
Goodbye, Dr. Tibbets. Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
According to the report I read, your unprofessional conduct put a patient in danger, Gwyneth.
That's not true. I know when my patient's life is at risk, and I'm more competent than a lot of doctors that I know. Problem is, I'm a woman.
I don't see what your gender has to do with your abilities, Nurse.
Yes, nurse. Because I'll never be a doctor, no matter what my skills. I could make a decision that could save a life, but oh no, that's unbecoming conduct.
Have you heard of Elizabeth Blackwell? She was the first woman listed on the UK Medical Register. Change is slow, but it will come. And you will always have my support.
To have the right to study shouldn't be determined by sex, skin, or wealth. That's all I'm saying.
Goodbye, Nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
But the suffering continued.
I'm quite busy.
Thank you. Good evening.
And good evening to you.
Goodbye,
Reads me like a book. Never could keep anything from her.
You don't mind if I search your pockets, do you, sir? You won't need any of these anyway. I'm not stealing from you, mister. I'm only redistributing your belongings to people who need them more than you. You see, no one has claimed your body, sir, so it would be such a shame to bury you with your valuables. I will not forget you, sir, and I thank you for your generous donation.
Good evening,
Good evening, Doctor.
Goodbye.
Don't worry, sir. I'll be back in a few minutes. Call me if you need me, okay?
Blaming me will not further your
Will arrive and then I'm managing a train terminal. Good evening, Dr. Reed. Such a pleasure to see you again.
Do you need medical attention?
Well, the proximity of the dead is not the most healthy company, even if the quiet can be appreciated.
Don't take too many risks with your health, Mr. Chidana. None of us are immune to this disease.
And that is a good thing. Death and disease is a constant reminder of our mortality. But you have my thanks, Dr. Reed.
Tell me the truth about your appointment as a medic during the war, Rakesh.
The regiment administration appointed me by mistake. I had to learn the job on the spot, sir. Very hard, sir, but I rose to the challenge.
Do you realize how many soldiers died because of that decision? You should have refused.
Yes, sir. I swear I did, sir. But no one listened. When the first wounded arrived, I had to do what I could.
It is an unbelievable story, Mr. Chidana.
It was a time beyond belief, Dr. Reed. But I'm happy not to deal with the wounded. I prefer caring for the dead now.
You can't impersonate a doctor. You can't improvise a medical education. People could die at your hands.
You're absolutely right, sir. But as a field surgeon, it was more like being a butcher.
Do you believe you have really helped these people?
My ratings were within the averages of the regiment. I saved lives, Dr. Reed. Does that not say enough about triage and war surgery?
How dare you steal from the dead, Rakesh? Is that what your pawnbrokers is really about?
These people are dead, sir. What they possessed could be useful for the living. And I'm sure they would agree if they could speak.
You may be right, but you'll go to jail if you're caught.
If ever I have to go to jail, I'm sure I'll find a way to help people there, too.
Please show me what you have to sell.
Of course. It's just trinkets and curios, really. But I'm sure they can be useful. It never ceases to amaze me how you, the dead, seem peaceful and lost at the same time.
It's locked. It's locked, all right. This is despicable. I have this thirst for blood.
Are you dead? Over there! This time, Bernie! He's dead! Filthy piece of shit! Steady, boys! We've got one here! Christ, he's dead! He's dead!
My dear sister, I don't know if I have the strength.
Are you all right, Miss Shun?
My name is Xiao Shun. This is the proper way to address someone in my country.
I do apologize, Xiao Shun. Are you all right?
Yes, I am. This is the only place where I can find some kind of serenity. Some way to remember my dear Matthew.
Are you on your own? Do you have any friends or family who you could be with?
I have family and friends, but I need to be here alone. One day maybe I'll go back to them, but not now. I need silence. And I need sadness.
I've seen many deaths in my life, and we all grieve in our own way. Some stay silent, or need to shout. Others need company, and some just can't stand it.
Thank you for your sincere words, Dr. Reed. I sense you trying to help me, even if I don't quite understand why.
Tell me how your husband died, Xiaoshun.
Matthew died of the Spanish flu, like so many others. It's a mundane cause of death these days, but for me it meant the end of the world.
At this time, there is so little medical science can do to defeat this terrible epidemic. I'm truly sorry.
The worst thing is not his death, even if it tears me apart. The worst is not to have seen it coming, to have lost him so quickly, even before realizing it.
Did he hide his condition from you?
Matthew was a smiling type, a happy sort. Everything that I am not. Did he laugh at his death to come, or did he not realize what was going to happen? I'll never know.
The Spanish flu may be the worst disease mankind has ever faced. Why are you blaming yourself?
You don't understand. I didn't know he was so sick. I didn't realize the gravity of his situation until it was too late.
As harsh as this sounds, we are all equally vulnerable to this awful disease. It can take the strongest man in just a couple of days.
I never said goodbye to Matthew. We never realized how bad it was. We laughed about it even. He always made me laugh. Now I don't have enough tears to shed.
Have you recent news of Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
This part of town is very fragile. I hope the trust so many people put in her will not be betrayed.
You realize you can't stay here forever, don't you? Eventually, you'll have to leave the cemetery.
Why? Why should I go? Since this is the only place I can find peace of mind.
You're right. I believe silence has a curative effect for the pain we feel. I suppose it provides space for reflection.
You sound like you're no stranger to the pain I feel.
Let's just say, I too have a good reason to visit cemeteries at night.
Please accept my condolences for your loss then, Dr. Reed.
Are you a doctor yourself? Is this why you feel so guilty for not saving your sick husband?
No, I am not. But I still need to blame someone for Matthew's death. And who else, if not his wife, who did not see it coming?
I'm a physician, one of the best in the country. But I was unable to save my own sister, Mary. She died in my arms.
Why tell me this? Is it supposed to make me feel better?
No. But I wanted you to know that you have done nothing wrong. Unlike me.
May I ask what caused the death of your sister?
You could say she was also killed by a terrible disease. A disease I have sworn to fight and cure, no matter how long it takes.
Thank you for sharing that with me, Dr. Reed. Maybe it's time we start to rebuild our lives, you and I.
You should go home now.
I think you're right. Cemeteries are for the dead, for they need silence too. Thank you for your honesty and your wisdom, Dr. Reed.
Thank you for your company, Xiaoshun. Take care on the way home.
Maybe I'll see you again in Whitechapel. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye for now.
Matthew. The world has gone completely mad. You know you can trust me. Why have you not spoken to me?
Since I can't reveal myself to my mother now, I must find a discreet spot to attend the ceremony. This is despicable. I can't believe I'm doing this.
I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. We commend unto thy hands of mercy, most merciful Father, the soul of our sister departed, and we commit her body to the ground. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Why kill my Mary and stick her here in this cold, god-awful place?
These are the legal requirements for the epidemic, madam.
Oh, Avery, I feel so tired. Please take me home.
Yes, madam.
Mary. What have I done? If I could only change one thing. One thing. This is a nightmare.
Jonathan, there is nothing you can do but accept it.
What brings you here?
I thought you could use the company. I am so sorry for your loss, Jonathan.
I wish the tears would come. But I'm empty. And I feel a hypocrite.
Let your pain run free, Jonathan. Don't smother it. What you feel is your humanity. Don't be so quick to lose it.
She had been scouring the most dangerous parts of London in search of me. And it led to her death.
Jonathan, don't.
I still hear her last thoughts. They echo in my head. Her mind shattered, and it haunts me.
Jonathan, stop. Listen carefully. You must come to terms with this. You must learn to live with what happened.
How is it possible? Tell me. Is it so easy to take a life every night, and then just smile and nod at those you spared?
Don't you see? You're doing the work of our enemies, feeding your remorse. We are weakest when we grieve, and the guilt blurs our senses.
And so this is why you're here. To warn me. You felt this pain yourself. You too have endured this.
I don't want to lose you, Jonathan. I've lost so many friends. Loved ones I cherished. Pray for Mary's forgiveness, if you must.
Thank you, my lady. I will.
Good. But be careful. If I found you here, others may too.
What should I do then?
St. Mary's Church is not far from here. Go there and make your peace. Find the solace you need.
My lady wants me to confess.
No, Jonathan. It's you who wants to confess, I think.
And off to church he goes, a newborn seeking divine consent to lick the blood from the soft and pointy crown.
Who are you? Make yourself known.
Newborn, you reek of guilt and pointless compassion. Shed your skin, forget your old weaker self.
What do you want from me?
Ascalon does not approve of lone wolves who bring unwanted eyes to our pastures.
So your name is Ascalon?
Ascalon's will is vampire law. Learn them, abide by them, or I shall return as your judge and jury.
These immortals try my patience with their plans and unsolicited counsel.
The safer places to be than here.
Fucking boss! Murdering bastard!
Yes? What is it that you want?
I'm sorry to disturb you at such a late hour.
No worries, my son. I'm still quite awake, having just returned from a funeral.
Yes, I know. I've forgotten what I wanted. I don't know.
May I help you, child? You seem somewhat perturbed.
I haven't the strength to cross the threshold. I wish to pray, to cleanse my soul.
The church is shut by order of the bishop. But I'm still the vicar of St. Mary's, if that is any use to you, my son.
I've no need for a kind ear. Only a moment of peace in God's house.
There are no secrets from God, my son. If your heart needs comfort, consider me your chapel. For I can be as silent as stone.
I've words for one departed. They're not for living ears to hear.
Your eyes burn with rage, yet I see the pain that lies beyond. I am here to lighten the burden of all God's creatures. Whatever you tell me is between us and the Lord.
Very well, priest. As you seem quite adamant.
Open your heart, my son. Tell me what burdens you. With whom do you wish to speak?
She was my sister.
You seem so troubled by the loss of this girl. What happened to her?
It was an accident. A terrible, terrible accident.
I see. And how are you feeling, my son?
She died because of me. How do you think I feel?
I have a final question for you, my son. This is of the utmost importance.
Ask your question, Vicar.
What would you like her to know?
I killed you. There's no excuse. My dear Mary, forgive me.
You have been heard, my son, and your burden will lighten if your words are sincere. Go in peace now, and live your life in the way she would have wanted.
Whatever happened on this dock is between my sister and I. It does not concern God at all.
I'm cheap and I'm clean, I promise. Pay me a glass and I'll be gentle. There are so many people who could use my help here.
Good evening, Xiaoshun.
晚上好, Dr. Reed. It's good to see you again.
What are you doing with your time, now that you're back in Whitechapel?
I've decided to help the poor and sick of the neighborhood by handing out medicine.
That's very charitable of you. But why do it at night?
I've noticed that the most desperate people tend to go out after dark. Hence my presence, to help them when I can.
Giving out medicine? How can you afford to do that?
I am a rich widow, Dr. Reed. My departed husband left me enough money to last the rest of my life. I can spend some on those who don't have any.
Why don't you move to a better neighborhood?
I thought about it, I confess. To go back to the same empty home every day still hurts me a lot.
Why stay here then?
I am a woman of habit, Dr. Reed. And for now, I am happier being useful in a familiar place than I would be anywhere else.
How do you feel now that you're back in Whitechapel?
I've decided to follow your advice, sir. I won't forget the dead, but my efforts will be for the living.
Do be careful. These streets can be as dangerous as that terrible place where we first met.
That's true. And maybe it's the best reason to help people around here.
Do you still think about your departed husband?
Of course I do. I'll never forget my beloved Matthew, but how do I put it? Now I miss him more than I want him back.
I know what you mean. And I think it means you're getting better.
Maybe death will take me the way it took Matthew, without warning and without mercy. But until then, I live on.
Goodbye for now. Good evening, Benjamin. Can I help you?
I'm afraid not, Mr. Reed.
Have you any news of Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
I visited her dispensary recently. If I'd heard about it sooner, it would have made life easier.
A gun, alcohol, and a bad temper make a terrible cocktail, sir. Goodbye for now.
fear will give you faith again. Its effectiveness has been proven by many. Even the flu is no match for the Swanberg.
How are you, boy?
I'm not your boy, all right? Now piss off.
Have you heard anything about Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
Nurse Crane? Yeah, I heard she's doing all right. Connected and protected.
Goodbye, young man. Good evening, Benjamin. Can I help you?
I'm afraid...
I have found a very interesting letter. Your son planned to prove his worth to the gang by stealing your medicine.
Oh, I see. So the little bugger thought he could use his dad to build a reputation.
The gang's recruiter was dead when I found him. Perhaps you should take better care of your son.
I love my Albert, sir. Believe me. It's just... well, I'm an arsehole, I suppose. Anyway, thanks for the letter. This is for your trouble.
A gun, alcohol, and a bad temper make a terrible cocktail, sir. Goodbye for now.
In the gutter, old man.
It's all a bloody joke to you, isn't it? Stopping drugs from the sick and suffering.
Me? I'll not die in some piss-stinking alley reeking worse than a week-old lavvy.
Bloody hell, boy.
Keep on digging through the rubbish, that's all you're good for.
Someday you'll understand. You've wasted your life away.
How are you, boy?
I'm not your boy.
Goodbye, young.
Good evening, my dear colleague.
Have you any news on Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
I can't believe that people are naive enough to trust her medicine. She's just a shady nurse with good connections.
Loretta, your miraculous formula wouldn't even cure a common cold, and you know it.
The Swanborough's cordial's secret ingredient is hope, Doctor. And it's something people around here really need.
A placebo effect is real and has benefit. But in your case, you could be murdering your customers who may die because they are not receiving the necessary medical attention.
Medical attention? In Whitechapel? Trust me, my cordial is the best option they have, since it is the only one.
Well, as it is a placebo of sorts, perhaps it may have some positive effect.
See? You have to admit I'm doing some good. The Swanborough family is not poisoning anybody, Doctor.
I'd like to see what kind of medicine you're selling.
When science fails you, this elixir will give you faith again. The Swanborough cordial can be the answer to all your problems. As long as you have the money.
The other way this week, Joe. Come on, we can sort it out, right?
It's not my call, Barrett. You pay one way or another.
Please, Joe. How long have we known each other? Well, we even used to be neighbours, for Christ's sake.
I prefer not to give you another beating, Barrett. You again? What do you want this time?
Have you recent news of Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
She's doing good work. I saw her yesterday and told her she could call on me if she ever felt threatened. Do you know what I mean?
I think the documents in this box could be of some interest to you.
Really? Where'd you get it?
I found it in an abandoned building nearby. I thought you might want to keep these letters.
Let me see. Letters about my boy. Thank you, sir.
You do not appear surprised or pained by this.
Surprised about what? Harry's my son, I'm his father, and that's all there is to know, don't you think?
Yes, I suppose you're right.
Here's a little something for your trouble. And to remind you to keep your mouth shut about all this.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Taking up my father's business. Fancy bar.
You never lose... Do you have any news of Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
I guess what she does for people makes it all right in the end.
Right then.
Bloody leech! Oh no! Back, demon! Back!
It's locked. Remember you. Fear be gone. I would harm no child of my making.
This is your doing. You made me. Made me this creature. What are you?
I am the land. You are our champion.
You
selected me, chose me, as shall my children yet to come. What is it you seek? This age is sickly. An ancient poison, an older rage, brewed in a cauldron newly forged. This has something to do with the epidemic. Seek truth, my champion. Defeat the serpent of knowing with iron spur. I've had enough of others making decisions for me, pretending to know how I should feel or behave. So the vampire who made me is some sort of disembodied entity? Or was he just projecting this vision in my mind? Maybe Edgar can help me with this one.
Shall prevail. Violence. God protect us. You've got a leech in the hospital.
Yes, my hospital. My mission is to heal while you go about warring.
You've set the table for a snake. I wonder why there's venom in your food.
I'm growing tired of your song. You're a woodsman, McCallum, not a doctor. Return to your hunt.
Remember, I've a good nose for machinations. I can flare the scent at a mile. You can't hide from the god.
Leave him, Jonathan. This is sacred ground. Neutral territory. And I just had the carpet cleaned. By the sacred stole, this is very bad news. Bad news indeed.
What happened?
The hospital has been attacked. We have injured patients, at least one dead and several missing. This has spiraled out of control. Even the most infirm are asking to be allowed to return home.
We cannot have the people lose faith in this institution. This hospital is their only hope.
Of course, you're right. But we cannot afford a public scandal. It would ruin us. We must restore order, and quickly.
You mentioned a dead patient. Who is he?
She, Jonathan. She was Miss Harriet Jones. I found her room like a slaughterhouse. Blood everywhere. The duty nurse is taking care of the mess.
Very well. I'll help you.
I know this place means something to you. I have noticed how you suppress your appetite when around the staff and patients.
You need to know you can trust me, Edgar.
I do, dear fellow, I do.
Please then, tell me.
Sean Hampton, the man we thought we'd saved at the docks. It seems he was infected after all.
So Hampton became more beast than man.
Exactly. And now Guard of Prewen suspects the hospital of vampire activity. Do you realize what that could mean for us?
Rest assured, I will protect you and your staff.
McCullum is a fanatic. The Guard will stop at nothing. You don't know what they're capable of, Jonathan.
Very well. Since I brought Mr. Hampton here, I will put an end to this. If you don't mind, I have a few questions.
I'd be delighted to help you if I'm able.
I just recently met the strangest creature in Whitechapel. He was immense. He mocked me and accused me of hypocrisy.
Perhaps it was a skull. London's streets are overflowing with them these days.
It was a vampire, all right. But what kind, I'm not sure. He was large and very fast.
If you find anything more about this creature, the Brotherhood would greatly appreciate any information you could spare.
He was observing me with the obvious intent to do me harm. His very presence evoked a palpable sense of menace.
You need to be careful, Jonathan. You've no idea what this creature really is.
What exactly happened here while I was absent?
Hampton turned, quite violently as it happened. Lurking about, attacked Miss Jones. To say he created quite a commotion would be an understatement.
Are you sure it was Hampton that killed Miss Jones?
Oh, there was blood everywhere, but no body. And you know the state she was in. I fear for what he did with her. Hopefully he just hid the corpse.
How did the Guard of Prewen come to hear of this?
McCullum has spies everywhere. He will jump at any opportunity to disparage the Brotherhood and show his contempt.
I recently tried to enter a church. It has been a very unpleasant experience.
The Brotherhood's research on the matter of faith and vampirism has proved somewhat insubstantial, to say the least.
Is this proof that I'm cursed in the eyes of the divine?
The wrath of the Almighty? There's no way of knowing. It could be subconscious guilt, or irrational fear, or deep-seated beliefs.
It's hard to explain in terms of science, that's for sure.
I'm sure Lady Ashbury will have far greater insight into this matter than little old me.
Who was that man in your office?
Geoffrey McCullum, actual leader of the Guard of Prewen. I suspect he's the man behind the rebirth of this old and dusty society.
They know I'm here now, don't they?
I can guarantee one thing. The Guard of Prewen would never dare to attack the hospital while I'm in charge here.
What do they hope to achieve?
Their ultimate goal is the eradication of all vampires in the country. They see you as a threat to mankind, Jonathan.
Thank you, Edgar.
Sean Hampton lives and breathes for the well-being of his flock. There's no other place he would go but the docks.
Disgust on every street corner. The daily routine.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
Everybody's afraid. Death has always been a frequent visitor. But murder? How can we cope with that?
As a nurse at this hospital, it is your duty to deal with these things as best you can.
Yeah. Until it's my turn to have blood spread all over the walls. I entered the room first, Dr. Reed. I've seen what that monster did to the woman.
Do you need medical help yourself, nurse?
I'm afraid I've contracted some illness, Dr. Reed.
Not under my watch, nurse. Take this. You'll feel better.
Thank you, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
It's here again.
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
What can you tell me about the recent events in the hospital?
That Mr. Hampton killed Miss Jones in her room, then ran away.
And did you see all this?
No. I was working by the tents when it all happened. I only entered the room when they asked me to clean up the blood.
Where is Miss Jones's body?
I don't know. I'd imagine the morgue. It all happened so quickly.
Did you see Sean Hampton leave the hospital?
I think I saw a silhouette exiting the hospital gates after the shouting started. At first I thought it was someone who was just scared, but... well, maybe it was him.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Damn.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Doc.
Can you tell me anything about recent events at the hospital?
Before the shouts and the noises, I think I heard whispers coming from the stairs. 2 voices, maybe more.
Did you recognize the voices? What did they say?
I couldn't hear. Sounded like they were arguing or something.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Fear and disgust on every street corner. The daily routine.
What on earth happened here?
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
Nothing like this would have happened if we'd had enough staff and proper shifts.
So you don't think the blame is ours?
We all hold fast here, Dr. Reed. Our methods may differ, but we are all trying to make a difference.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later. Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Please, tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital.
I heard Miss Jones call for help from her bedroom. There were some loud noises, like people fighting. All of a sudden, it went quiet. And then a nurse started screaming.
Do you know who the nurse was?
Not sure, but I think it was Nurse Hawkins.
Tell me about yourself, Mr.
I'm just a I'm a cop.
Tell me about yourself. Tell me about.
I'm a cop.
Goodbye for now.
Nice, sweet girl. Reads me like a book. I never could keep anything from her.
Good evening, Doctor.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
It's a disgrace. How on earth can patients be attacked in their own rooms?
Goodbye, Mrs. Gosway.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I'm okay.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
I heard shouting coming from the first floor. I was asleep when it started.
Your medical report says you're not affected by the Spanish flu. What do you think of that, Mortimer?
Does it make me happy? Not in the slightest. If it was up to me, I would have left this place long ago. I know I don't belong here.
And why do you think you don't belong here?
I know the staff have more important things to do than look after me. There's plenty of patients here who need their attention.
I have to go now, sir.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Good evening, Doctor.
And good evening to you.
Can you tell me anything about the recent commotion in the hospital?
I'm sure it was not your fault, Dr. Reed.
My fault? What do you mean?
Oh, nothing. It's just... I heard it was you who brought the murderer inside our walls. But you couldn't know, could you?
Goodbye, Doctor.
Good evening, Doctor.
Can you tell me anything about recent events in the hospital?
Oh, goodness me. This whole story is such a shame, sir. I have no idea how it happened.
What are you talking about?
Poor Miss Jones. Her body is missing. Someone stole it.
Miss Jones's body has gone missing?
Yes. The body was brought here this morning, and now it's gone.
Who could have stolen a corpse?
That's exactly what I asked myself for the whole day. Who could do such a thing? These are terrible and shameful times, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Mr. Chidana. Good evening, Miss Howcroft.
I need blood, Doctor.
Is there anything you can tell me about the recent commotion here?
Many things can happen under cover of night, Dr. Reed. But I took no part in this massacre.
But did you see or hear anything?
I can't say I did. But the smell of fresh blood almost made me faint, Doctor.
I'll leave you, Mistress.
The giant morgue disguised as a hospital.
That's Pembroke.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
They belong to you now.
The life running in your veins. This dead flesh needs
It's locked. It's locked, all right. The flower's dying. It needs water.
Hey, Doc.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
All I know is I ain't letting anyone rip my throat out in my sleep. I found myself a nice blade, Doc. I'm ready.
I'll leave you.
Please, I feel sick. Get over here now.
Hello again, Mr. Blight.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Do you need medical attention, sir?
Afraid so. In the war, I was always worried about picking up something, getting some infection. Unfortunately, I've got that fear in London now.
Throughout history, some diseases have done more damage to armies than any weapon created by man. You were wise to be careful.
You're working at the Pembroke Hospital, aren't you? That's a good enough reason for me and Oswald to go there.
Goodbye, Mr. Blight.
When I get back, I'll have a word with Tom. He's really pissed me off.
Good evening, Milk.
Good evening, Doctor.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
Someone killed Miss Jones in her room, and Mr. Hampton's gone missing. Doesn't take a genius to piece it together.
You don't seem shocked by any of this.
Why should I be? Whoever did this must be long gone by now. And besides, he got rid of the old bag.
Goodbye, Milton.
Oh, Jonathan, I cannot believe my eyes. Poor woman, butchered by some savage scowl.
Would you care to partake in this meal with me?
Jonathan, how could you say such a thing?
Forgive me if I feel despondent, for there seems to be no end to the suffering and death that surrounds us.
I'm always here for you, Jonathan.
What do you know of Ascalon? I was threatened by a creature, a vampire in Whitechapel, stating I had to obey the law of conduct.
What more can you tell me about him?
He was bigger than a man. Huge, in fact. He seemed to radiate violence. I thought he was going to tear me apart. Then he vanished.
Fergal, the executioner of Ascalon. You were fortunate he was not after you, but rather out doing his master's bidding.
What is Ascalon?
The Ascalon Club are the most powerful vampires in Britain and exert tremendous influence. Take my advice and stay well away.
Have you embraced this woman, like the other patient, this Mr. Renfield?
Her name was Amelia. And no, I did not kill her. I vowed a very long time ago that I would never take another life, unless they ask.
Is there sufficient vitality in the blood of the sick and dying patients?
Yes, Jonathan. The hunger gnaws at me every waking hour. Frankly, I'm starving.
Temptation surrounds us. Rich, vital. How can you resist?
Over the years, any pleasure I once gleaned from feeding is long gone. I drink for sustenance. And though I still thirst for more, I restrain myself.
I have experienced a certain difficulty when faced with holy symbols or trying to enter religious buildings. Have you?
Now that's quite a question. I don't know why, but yes, it has happened to me.
Is this a sign? The hand of God in action? Are we repellent unto heaven?
I don't have the answers, Jonathan. But I believe superstition and magic is just fact awaiting the lens of science.
Aren't you frightened?
Very little scares me, my dear. To be compelled to avoid symbols of faith does not concern me.
Thank you, my lady. I hope to see you again soon. Good evening, Dr. Tibbets.
Dr. Reed.
Can you tell me anything about the recent commotion in the hospital?
It's a tragedy, pure and simple. The hospital is meant to be a safe haven to all. We failed the people who trusted us with their care.
Do you think I should not have brought Mr. Hampton back here?
It's not your fault. You rescued that poor soul. It was the Christian thing to do. But we should have noticed his instability.
Goodbye, Dr. Tibbets.
Train terminal.
It's locked.